Hey, what's up, guys? So, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the year will unfold moving forward. Because, for example, some of you, may feel like you've gotten behind a little bit and you're really worried about that we're going to keep adding, more habits on, and then it's just going to get very overwhelming. So, to be honest, we've introduced pretty much all of the food habits that you need. Okay, we've touched on quantity, right? How much to eat in terms of 80% full, slow eating. We've touched on what to eat, in terms of carbs, fats, proteins, fruits and vegetables. And now we're, talking about meal planning. So really the rest of the year, we're going to address some lifestyle stuff. We're going to touch on sleep and stress management. Those are huge. In fact, I think they should probably be earlier in the program for most people. We'll actually give you a bit of a midterm break where we don't have any habit to allow you to catch up a little bit. We'll have some habits where we're going to have you experiment a little bit. We may ask you to try slightly lower carb or slightly higher carb or, some different challenge habits, basically, just to see how you respond. So if you're behind or you feel like, we've accumulated a lot of habits and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, don't stress because you're going to have plenty of time to catch up. In fact, two of your future habits are previous habits. So we'll actually revisit 80% full again. We'll revisit protein and vegetables again, just because most people need more practice with those. So I don't want you to feel behind. Okay, there's going to be plenty of time to catch up. And again, you don't have to be an A+ student to do well in the program. All I want for each of you is to basically better yourself from where you were before the year started. So if you weren't having any protein, and now you're having protein with every meal, but you still aren't making the best carb choices and fat choices, that's still great. I mean, that's still awesome. You're no doubt like in a better position than you would have been otherwise. Okay. Now, for you guys who feel like you're on top of everything, the rest of this year is a way to dial it in a little bit more, to figure out the routine that really works for you. Maybe you want to push your leanness a little bit more, or, you want to experiment with different, like I said, higher carb, lower carb, less meals, more meals during the day, different things like that. The rest of this year is going to help you kind of experiment with that. And, I'm here to help you with that as well. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit of, heads up on where this year is headed. And also, I've been getting some questions about how can I speed up my rate of loss, or, when should I start seeing progress, or, my progress, how can I start seeing progress basically? Well, now we have, like I said, almost all of the nutrition habits. So I would expect progress to start happening now. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, right, we don't assume that you've stalled until we have at least 3 weeks of average weight trends. And if things have not moved in 3 weeks, that's a pretty good indication that, something needs to change. And almost always it comes down to reducing energy balance in some way, or energy intake in some way. And there are different ways to do that, right? You don't have to necessarily cut down on the total volume of food you're eating. It may instead be, instead of having, slightly fattier cuts of meat, you choose slightly leaner cuts of meat. Or instead of a carb, replace it with vegetables. Just little tricks like that will allow you to, eat as much volume, but also cut back on your calories a little bit. So those are some ways to do that. And as I've discussed too, I really encourage you, if able, to have a set number of meals each day, whether that's 2, 3, 4, whatever that is. Have those set meal times, and have fairly similar meals, day to day, week to week. I mentioned that in my meal planning. Like, I eat the same thing almost every day. I have maybe 2 to 3 different, meal options for each meal. And that way, if things stall, you can easily adjust those variables. So, that's what I would say. And lastly, I tend to ramble sometimes. If you haven't lost weight, or you haven't lost much weight, you feel like it should be faster, but you're making a lot better choices. You're getting protein with every meal, you're making better carb choices, then you are no doubt more healthy because you are doing that. Okay? Making healthy choices doesn't always equate with fat loss. You can lose fat in a non-healthy manner, and you can make healthy choices and not lose fat. They're not always the same. Okay. Losing fat can be a stressor on the body because your body assumes it's at a good place. It doesn't like change. So sometimes you have to push yourself a little bit. You have to experience a little more hunger. That's normal. It just is. I mean, I don't want it to be unreasonable, but tolerable hunger, you should feel it a little bit, and it's okay. You don't need to be anxious about it. You're going to be okay. So yeah, that's what I would say. And again, if you guys are struggling, reach out, we can brainstorm. We have a lot of time left to figure this stuff out. So anyways, I hope this is helpful, and take care, guys.